This episode is brought to you by Roundtable Group, the experts on experts. We've been connecting attorneys with experts for over 25 years. Find out more at roundtablegroup.com.
Welcome to Discussions at the Roundtable. I'm your host, Noah Baum, and today I'm excited to welcome Dr. Edwin Hernandez to the show. Now, Dr. Hernandez is the founder of EGLA Corp, a full-service IP and tech consulting and investment firm, and EGLAVATOR, a tech incubator and accelerator. He's an expert in AI and machine learning, wireless software technologies, and serves on multiple IEEE boards. Dr. Hernandez holds a Ph.D. in computer engineering from the University of Florida. Let's jump into it. You've had an impactful tech career with a wide range of accomplishments. How did you first get started as an expert witness?
I began in 2014. A friend of mine is a professor at the University of Florida, and he was unable to take care of one case. So he says, recommended me to take care of the case. I successfully was able to help this customer in a trade secret matter, and that's how everything began.
Did you get any mentorship from your friend? Did you have some idea of what to expect for your first couple of times as an expert witness, or were you kind of just thrown into it?
No, I actually had a prior experience where I was kind of like an expert, not precisely on the full-fledged. It was my own patent case, and then in that case, okay, I learned the tricks of the game, basically, like all the filings, the motions, and have everything worked in federal circuit.
Anything that you'd care to share, any of those tricks of the trade that might be helpful to others, particularly newer expert witnesses who are just getting started?
Well, I will say that the main thing for an expert is to really stick with something very fundamental, the truth. So if you stay truthful, you stay with the truth, you stay with the facts, and you say something factually based, that you have some sort of a basis, either that could be corroborated by some sort of your knowledge, your experience. If you have a vast amount of experience in certain fields, even in those cases, you need to start pointing out in the right direction to factual data that you find from the discovery, which discovery means that you're identifying all the facts of the case. So I think I would say that's the main thing, to stay valid, let's say, in this business. Otherwise, quickly you will be downward motion and most likely have some issues there.
Let's talk about those calls. So somebody calls you on the phone, says, I'm looking for an expert witness. What are the sorts of questions that they ask you? And what are the sorts of questions that you ask them to determine if it's going to be a good engagement or not?
Well, the main thing that I ask, or I get asked for, is my background. What have I done in the past? What kind of cases I've been working on? And basically challenges that I had in different circuit cases where I had motions to strike, that were hearings and things like that, and how I survived those. Basically, that's been mostly one because I have too many cases in my pocket. So then, and I will say that that's one of the things I get asked a lot. And I ask always the question is, what's the time frame? Because as you know, sometimes they call you like, oh, you need a report in like a month, and you need to review like thousands of pages of something, and I cannot draft like an opinion on something in a very short period of time, because I'm not full-time using that case, right? Even if I was in that case full-time, it will require ample of time to get used to it.
That's something that I've heard from a lot of my interviewees, that they get a lot of calls for kind of rush jobs. Like, I need you to read 6 trillion pages and I need a report on it tomorrow.
You need to request an extension of time. And sometimes they do, sometimes I'm in a rush to, the main thing that you have to calculate is how many patents that you have to review, how many pages of code, software, technical specifications are behind each of those patents. And then, okay, can that be done at the time frame that I'm requesting to be done? Because many times, I wish we have an AI tool that could just see that and say like, look, don't do it. It's it's too much. But those far, I think it's still like an expert estimates on time is because you need to commit to. I mean, people don't understand. It's not right in the report. It's surviving the summary judgment and surviving the entire depot. Right. That's the main thing.
Sure. You mentioned AI, and obviously you're an expert in AI. Where are we going with AI? What does the future hold in AI? Is it a passing trend, or is it something that's here to stay? Has Pandora's box already been open?
Well, to be honest with you, I joined the AI revolution in 2000 and 1996 to 2000 time when I was part of the machine intelligence lab at the University of Florida, and I began learning everything on machine learning, then neural networks and Lisp and all kinds of different paradigms that existed at the time. And for so many years, I actually never surface that expertise because it looked like it was a joke. You look less serious. You said, I'm a robotics expert. I'm an AI expert. 2000 to 2010, that was like that was most likely like a recipe for a disaster interview or in any job or consulting job. You would not be taken seriously because AI was not was not really working. And recently, with the GPT changes, and if I study GPT substantially, I believe that the changes made are not fundamental to a complex artificial intelligence paradigm. It's just basically very smart ways to twist and turn the way you use data, and that twist and turns that it was done with GPT. Let's say like it's like some sort of like encoding mechanism, say to review the data that's coming to open new ways and new language models, large language models that are being accommodated to the future. So I think what the open the Pandora box, well, not necessarily like I think is AI per se, because you can make AI very complex, is the way those engineers creatively connected AI with basic functionality that existed in the past in coding and some other practices that connected the two dots. And then now we have this new revolution with GPT models. And
It's quite a broad topic. How do you remain an expert in your really multiple fields? What do you do to stay on top of everything with all of this cutting edge technology that's changing sometimes is very rapidly, sometimes on a daily basis? What does it mean to be an expert in your field?
well, I mean, I think I would recommend if you want to remain an expert, number one is to attend conferences, technical conferences from IEEE, join the technical committees in different conferences, review papers, recent papers from people that will keep you updated. Number two is attend events like Consumer Electronics shows, Mobile World Congress, National Association Broadcasting Show. So then you attend those conferences and then you see what's going on at the time, technically, the state of the art. And in my case, I run an incubator. So we incubate companies. So then we invest in different startups. So I see a plethora of like maybe, well, in December it's been kind of sluggish. I've been doing all those things, but let's say in this 2023, I reviewed maybe like around 80 to 100 business plans, 80 to 100
Wow.
different ideas. I spoke with multiple people in different events. So then you get up to speed to see what people are going through with the technology. Where I mean, you in 30 seconds, you know if the idea is novel or not. And then obviously, like being in all these patent cases is keeps you up to speed, keeps you updated because you get to see source code, you get to review the schematics, you get to review multiple things that make yourself be current and cutting edge.
Let's jump back into some of the specifics of your expert witnessing work. Have you worked for both the plaintiff and defendant side?
I have actually. I have worked for defendant and plaintiff. In the plaintiff side, I think it's been a lot of patent cases. On the defendant side, I had some trade secret background on a trade secret matter. And my job was to demonstrate that the evidence shown was not a trade secret. Obviously, I cannot discuss the details because it was under a protective order.
Of
And
course.
I was really surprised, very interestingly, because code reviews usually take a long time, and you have to travel to a law firm and be what is called in a clean room environment where you don't have your laptop, you don't have your phone. They had a very interesting tool. They had a biometric tool that they would run your biometrics, and then you will see on a PC actually, you will connect to a remote site, and then if you will turn your head to the right or to the left for way too long, then it will log out, and then it will track how many minutes you were reviewing the code. Well, I mean, the tool didn't allow me to move the head to the right or to the left, so I don't think either the tool was wrong or I reviewed 17 hours of code, right? But obviously, like I said, like you have to be very concentrated, very like you need to concentrate your efforts in your mind to really help the customer review that data that is being presented to you in a very thorough way. Because like I said, the deposition time is when you have to have the most amount of knowledge to defend your position, because depositions is not, you don't win anything. I mean, you're trying to not to lose. That's kind of like the game in deposition. So I think that's very interesting how I came about helping both plaintiffs and defendants in cases and in trade secret cases, patent cases, and copyright violations in some cases where technology is involved in most of those situations.
Have you found yourself working on teams with other expert witnesses? What are those interactions like?
Yes, I did actually. In the last case, I was with two more experts. Usually, you have to have a damages expert, and I am a technical expert, so you have a team right there. The damages expert will rely on my expertise to do some of their calculations, for example. Um, and in some of the cases, I am a part of a team of 2 or 3 experts where we review multiple patents. Uh, they assign 3 or 4 to me, 3 or 4 to the other guy, and then whatever. And then we both have to collaborate because in some cases the patents are interconnected. They have similar claims, they have similar technologies. We're reviewing the same evidence. So obviously, whatever I propose in some cases as part of the solving one of the claims needs to be involved with the other experts well to really get to an agreement. Yeah, that's the path to go, or that's too much risk because of whatever arguments are being made on invalidity as well. That's as you know, is a big gamble, right? Validity and infringement are usually are very tied together.
Right, of course. And when you're working with another team of experts, you were talking about collaboration. Are you also collaborating with the attorney? Do you feel like you're, all kind of a team?
Of course, attorneys are great. I mean, I usually would like the attorney to tell me more of the legal side of the story, what arguments are being said by the other side. Non-infringement arguments, for example, sometimes the non-infringement arguments are ridiculous, are very, they're not even possible to be technically done. So my job is to help the attorney understand what's within the boundaries of that, and obviously then assist counsel with discovery as well. Sometimes discovery could become really problematic. I have one case that I discovered that they were hiding information, and then attorneys were able to get the information even a few years later, and then obviously those attorneys will get sanctioned because of my discoveries. And that was right, because the suspicion that I had about the hiding of the information was true, and the evidence showed in a supplemental report that there was a lot of evidence that was missing from the production initially, and those attorneys and that client, that the opposite client, will, I don't know if they received sanctions, but there was a motion for sanctions because of that, failed to produce important documents.
Wow, that's an amazing story. Have you had situations like that happen a lot?
Yeah, I have one right now. Actually, I just And then yesterday, actually, we received I had a Daubert hearing for that particular case. And in fact, they were questioning my expertise to determine some percentages and some of the facts for the case that they were being challenged. But the judge denied their motion completely. So now I get, well, I don't have I won't call it the opportunity, but I will have the right to tell the jury in trial and at the end of January the story in full without any impediments.
How do you deal with those sorts of situations where somebody is trying to impeach your credibility or your ability to opine on a specific topic? Do you have any strategies that you use to deal with being impeached either in a deposition or in front of a jury?
Yes, of course. I mean, that happens a lot. Attorneys will try to impeach you, try to like strike certain things that you cannot say, or you can say only certain things. But I think the main thing, you have to go back to the beginning, go back to the discovery, go back to that report, the day you're drafting the report. Do you add sufficient amount of back information? Do you have any sufficient amount of facts that will that paragraph that says, I opine that this is true, or this is false, or this is infringing on certain things, and that, okay, that's because paragraph n-1 through n-7, whatever it was, then have sufficient amount of content, of meat that you can rely on. Because once they go that day to impeach that paragraph n, you will be, no sir, like you have paragraph n-2 discusses part of that, n-4. So then you will see and then with those paragraphs we have links to exhibits, we have links to date numbers, we have links to things that I have reviewed, and that's the strategy to not get impeached. Doesn't happen post, happens pre. So when you're writing the report, you're preparing for that, because once the report is written and once you have supplement, everything has been filed, discovery is closed. There's no way to correct that. You can clarify that, but you cannot add any more arguments.
Let's talk about your report writing process a little bit. Do you have a particular process? Do you like to, storyboard or index things out, or do you just kind of write from the beginning to the end? How do you like to write a report?
I usually do the report writing in a way that I interact with counsel. So sometimes counsel will send me something and I will be like, look, I don't like what it says here. I'm going to rewrite it. It doesn't fit, or something, attorneys make it more legalistic. So it needs to be more technical than legalistic. And I don't, that's why I think it's a collaboration effort. The best reports are the ones that when I draft the first version, I send it back to counsel and we go back and forth maybe 5-7 times. And then we have a final version of that. We usually has to be signed, and I'm not kidding to all experts out there. Don't be surprised if you're at 11:53 p.m. the day of the deadline and you're still like signing and sending back the signed report back to counsel, because it happens multiple times that it's like, oh, maybe the client will be like the actual patent owner, or like the client in particular cases. I don't like what is phrased here. Can you rephrase it? Or like, I don't like what it says here. Let's or did you include this in this piece of evidence in your report? So you have all that back and forth with the client, which is the ultimate plaintiff or defendant, and the attorneys as well.
Wow, that's really interesting. Before we wrap up, do you have, I don't know, a story or two that you can talk about that has kind of either influenced or informed the way in general that you are as an expert witness, either tactics that you use or things to avoid?
Yes. Well, I mean, I've been working on a project personally. It's called the PTAB Expert. The PTAB Expert is basically an AI tool, like a GPT tool, that reads all the pleadings, all the filings in the IPR, in the PTAB court. The PTAB is the Patent Trial and Appeals Board, for those who not familiar with that. Those records are open to the public. Anyone can download them. And I have indexed a lot of the files from those records. And the idea with the PTAB expert is that you use machine learning and AI, who will win or who may lose a particular challenge. Now with this knowledge base that is learned, let's say, like you can tell this PTAB expert GPT, let's say, hey, I have a case on this and that electronic device that is wearable, that is like, I don't know, it's a band that I wear, just like the magic band from Disney World, for example, and then it will try to identify, okay, based on that, you need a wearable expert. Maybe this is the expert for you. This is the best firm for that particular case, and this is the potential outcome of based on data that is from live from the PTAB database. And ideally, will be extended that to use the Federal Circuit. But the PTAB database is open to the public. So the AI and machine learning expertise is being gathered by myself right there. And I will start using next year for some of the cases.
Wow, that is absolutely fascinating stuff. Dr. Hernandez, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you, Noah. Thank you for everything. Have a great afternoon and a happy new year to everyone.
And thank you to our audience for joining me for another discussion at the Roundtable. Cheers.
Thank you for listening to our podcast, Discussions at Roundtable. Our show notes are available on our website, roundtablegroup.com. Subscribe today on Apple Podcasts or your favorite listening apps.